Ford coupe, she had a racing cam and a supercharged. Look at Buddy, hot rod at large. She's a hot rod. She's a hot rod. She's my hot rod.
Well, the Kia Sedona minivan, 2015 to 2018, they're recalling 106,000 of those. Why? That sliding door, that automatic sliding door that if someone is sitting there, it will not move, it will not close. Well, guess what? That sensor's no good. I talked about this morning when I talked to Nick up in HFB on the morning show, super host up there on the morning show every morning, Monday through Friday. Nick the man, and then I told Rick about it, Rick Federici, morning host on WIMS, yesterday about this very same thing. This Kia Mini, this is the soccer van. This is the van we put our kids in. Get it fixed. If you have one of these Kia Sedona or Kia Sedona 2015 to 2018, the Volkswagen is the Tiguan 2018, and that's got a ball joint that falls. That's as bad. Everybody in the van gets killed then, not just the person that's stuck in the door. Now, let me talk to you a minute. We got to talk. 928 Car Guys. If you got something you want to say, you got someone that you want to talk about, if you got a question about your car, if it needs fixed, call me. I can fix it right now. I'll fix it for you. But I got to tell you this. It's been 4 years, and it has been 4 years I have been preaching about the recalls from General Motors and from Takata airbags, and maybe longer than that on Takata. But the ignition recall from General Motors, let me give you the time frame on that. When they found out that they were going to get busted, General Motors immediately sold all their government, the federal government got all their money paid back from General Motors before they exposed the recall. Talk about insider trading. Anybody in the government that knew this was coming got their stock out of it. They took at one time when they were doing the bailout, the federal government had a whole bunch of GM stock. Well, that got dumped immediately. And then they fired the CEO and hired Mary Barra, who was a big-time person at GM and a great gal. But she was the fall person. They did that because they figured out the American public will be softer on a gal president. Well, let me just tell you how all this worked, all right? Turns out Mary might have been one of the people involved in Ignition Gate since it began. What happens at Ignition Gate? The ignition falls out of the doggone car. Turns off, the key and cylinder just falls out. Now you can't steer. You have no power steering. You have no brakes, no power brakes. The car dies. I mean, it's just a mess. And hopefully you're not on the highway somewhere. But people have died. They've confirmed like 23 or 24 deaths from Ignition Gate. But that's only the ones they confirmed. Because General Motors covered this up for 15 years. They knew that these Delphi ignition switches were no good. They just kept using them. They didn't want to admit because people were dying. And guess what? We don't know how many people died because the crashes were done and the evidence in the crash, the NHTSB says, well, it crashed because of this, crashed because of that. They didn't know about Ignition Gate. They didn't know that those ignitions were faulty. General Motors did, though. Well, this is what honked me 2 days ago. 2 days ago, I called Rick on Tuesday morning, after I got this notification in the mail from Automotive News. I called him yesterday morning, and I called Nick this morning too. This is terrible. This is 4 years after the official recall of the faulty ignition switches. General Motors has admitted that 92% of the vehicles left on the road, in other words, they're not in the junkyard, they're not crushed, they're not rusted out and thrown away, or they're not recycled. They're on the road. Of all the vehicles, General Motors vehicles left on the road that were involved in Ignition Gate, 92% are not fixed. 92%. They drag their feet long enough. They screw around long enough. They don't have parts. They didn't have this, didn't have that. That more cars are ended up in the junkyard. More people are crashing. They're fighting like 100 and some lawsuits right now from people that crash because of the ignition gate. And nobody's on their butt. That's because they're General Motors. I don't care who they are. The 92% are still unfixed. That's worse than Takata, for God's sakes. And Takata, believe me, is terrible. They haven't fixed anything. And the ones they did fix were fixed with airbags that weren't any better than the ones that they were replacing. So here we are. You and I in the backseat again. The American people, the American driver, taking it on the chin one more time. And I just, for that to be a true fact, 92% unfixed, it makes me come unglued. Absolutely makes me come unglued. Filed by a motorcycle rider involved in a minor crash with one of their self-driving vehicles. So everybody's out testing these. You all know this. General Motors is testing them too. It's not just Tesla and Uber and Google. Being tested in San Francisco last year. According to the official report, the Chevy Cruze was operating in autonomous mode, in heavy traffic, autonomous 5 mode, level 5, in heavy traffic when it began to change lanes. When another vehicle tried to get over into the open spot. We're going to talk about this in a minute. The Cruze had to veer back to its original lane where it knocked over a motorcycle that was in that spot ridden by Oscar Nielsen. No money details have been discussed, but guess what? This is exactly what I've been telling you. If your car is driving itself and you got some guy that's driving, and how you've seen these people on the highway zipping in and out of cars and acting like crazy people. Well, do we have a program in our computer to handle that on our car? I certainly hope so. How to drive with knuckleheads. That's got to be the Computer 101 program. That's got to be. Because that's crazy. This has been my contention for, gosh, forever, since we started talking about autonomous driving. It's just not, it's not compatible. We all either got to be autonomous or we all got to be driving our own. Because I don't think a computer can decide what that guy in front of you is going to do, or the guy alongside you in this case. So it got sensed the car there. Oops, had to slide back. Well, guess what? It was too late. The motorcycle, he knocked him on his butt. And so they're going to settle it and give him a bunch of money, which was cool. Hey, God bless him. Rivian. This is cool. This is good news stuff. Rivian Automotive Inc., a Detroit area-based company, has received a fresh $200 million loan, plus some state and local tax incentives, to reopen the Normal, Illinois Mitsubishi plant to build its all-new electric and autonomous vehicles there. The company plans to build a 5-passenger pickup. Why would a 5-passenger pickup? Wow. And a 7-passenger SUV at this plant and employ as many as 1,000 workers by 2024. Hey, God bless them. And they got this loan from bank or whoever they got, a hedge fund or whoever. They didn't get it from the government. It's not our money. Not like Fisker and Tesla and the rest of them took our dough and that one battery company, A123 or whatever. Oh, boy, did we blow some dough. That was under the Obama years with the Department of Energy just was passing out millions. And these guys would say they got a car company. Fisker didn't make but 4 or 5 cars. I mean, and now he's back, by the way. Oh, yeah. He sold the company. The company went to bankruptcy. It got bought up by a Chinese company, so he started another one, electric company. He's going to get some more money, but he's not going to give it out of this government, I'll bet. They're not going to give him any more. Dateline Tokyo. Panasonic Corporation is developing a new battery, and this is key, a new battery technology that reduced the amount of cobalt used in the making of their lithium-ion power batteries, power units. Cobalt suppliers have raised prices substantially. They're going up, due to the expected shortages, and they're just milking it of the element. And Panasonic is shooting for a 0 cobalt usage eventually. The element cobalt is used to secure temperature stability in these lithium-ion batteries and will be replaced with a higher content of nickel. Well, you remember it was the lithium-ion batteries in the Chevy Cruze that were catching on fire, and then it was the Tesla caught on fire, the lithium-ion batteries. There was even a DC-10, a fleet of them, got grounded because they had lithium-ion batteries on board, and they were catching fire. Well, that was because of the lithium-ion. Now, you put enough nickel in there, and it supposedly is going to stabilize the temperature, and you don't have to use cobalt. This brings me to a little related story that I have for you. We're going to have, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have some guests on because I got a couple things I have to ask some people. Number one, I got an insurance man coming on. He knows car insurance. He knows how to help you get car insurance for your kid, for you, what to do if you got bad risk, yada, yada. He can answer any and all questions you might have about car insurance. He really knows his stuff. This guy's been at the car insurance business almost as long as I've been wrenching on him. So he's a good guy. The other one is I'm going to have the fire chief in here because I want to talk about these lithium-ion batteries or these cobalt-laden batteries when they get crashed. Those guys are the ones that have to, number one, they have to put the fire out. Number two, they have to cut you out with the jaws of life or whatever. They got to cut you out of the car. Most of these electric cars are small anyway. They'd have to cut me. They'd probably have to throw the car away and leave me in it. I got to tell you, I got to hear a real firefighter that is a professional to tell me exactly what they're up against when they start fighting these electric car fires. Because I'll tell you what, I don't think it's pretty. I really don't think it is. And I think he's probably going to tell you that himself. But I'm not going to put words in his mouth. He is the chief, and we will let him do the talking. Hyundai Motors is planning to expand and upgrade its engine plant in Montgomery, Alabama. Easy for me to say. You know, T-Rex, my tongue got over my eye tooth, and I couldn't read the cue card. Oh, my goodness. Okay, it's engine plant in Montgomery, Alabama, to the tune of $388 million, hiring at least 50 new jobs. Hyundai already employs 2,700 full-time workers and 500 part-time workers in their Alabama manufacturing complex, where they're building the cars and building this, building engines, plant, chassis plant, yada, yada. And their engine plant, they're going to expand. Another $388 million, 50 more jobs, putting people to work. That's what we are all about in America now, putting people to work. Chinese electric vehicle developer is announcing its plans to open a new $160 million plant in northern Indiana by the end of 2020. No name on it. Let me see. Wait, no, there's no name on it. They won't tell us the company and they won't tell us at where. But at the facility that was acquired in Mishawaka last November, the company plans to hire many of the 435 workers who lost their jobs when AM General closed that plant. So there's the deal. This Chinese electric car manufacturer, and it's got to be Geely or BID, or there's only a couple in China, because to do something in China, you have to be owned by the Chinese government. There is no such thing as free enterprise in China. That's gone. Well, that's not gone. That was never there. And that's the whole deal. So in Mishawaka, Indiana, some Chinese company is going to put in. They're going to put in a plant. We'll see what happens. Hey, I love it. I love it. More jobs for the Midwest. More jobs for Indiana, Illinois. Hey, and Mishawaka's a nice town. I've been there. It's kind of fun to hang out there once in a while.